Deion Sanders and Andre Rison's feud subverts the stereotypical cornerback versus wide receiver dynamic. As youngins looking to make a name for themselves in the pros, Sanders and Rison shined alongside each other for the Atlanta Falcons, becoming arguably the best in the league at their respective positions. As the two made their star turns, they built an inseparable bond on the field that appeared unshakable. It was PrimeTime and ShowTime. But when the business of the game reared its ugly head, ultimately splitting the two apart, their once steady bromance spiraled into a drama-fueled spectacle filled with a war of words, a fight, and a whole lot of beef. This episode of Beef History is presented by the Chili's 3 for Me, featuring the all-new Big QP Burger, the best $10.99 you can eat. Throwing salt on someone's name is an integral part of any beef, but when it comes to shit-talking, Deion and Dre set the standard. As two of the premier talents at their position in college, when Deion's Florida State Seminoles faced off against Andre's Michigan State Spartans during the 1988 season, all eyes were on their matchup. Besides their tremendous skill set, the two fueled the game, sending shots in the media. Rison viewed Sanders as a good player, but didn't buy the hype and thought it was just another defensive back at the end of the day. Sanders looked forward to lining up across Rison, but thought the only way the wideout could beat him was if he resorted to tricks. In a 31-3 beatdown over the Spartans, the Seminoles held Rison to one catch the entire game, while Deion had a stellar performance, and he let it be known. After the game, Deion flipped Andre's statement on his head and called Rison just an average Big Ten receiver. He then acknowledged that he taunted Rison in-game, telling him all those great performances he saw studying film must have been cap. Round 1, Sanders. Luckily for Rison, he had his chance to get his lick back the following season in a rematch, and again, the two didn't hold back. Sanders, being the flamboyant showman he is, had Rison's own friend hand him a picture of Deion, the All-American. I suppose you can have that type of swagger as a multi-sport athlete with the talent to go pro in football and baseball. Anyway, Rison didn't appreciate being flexed on and thought Deion downplayed his accomplishments. In his eyes, his performance last season was the result of Florida State's defense as a whole. And if Deion really wanted to see him one-on-one, he was ready to finish him every time, no matter the circumstances. If anything, Rison thought it was a privilege for Deion to match up with him. Deion heard the talk, but didn't want to waste his breath firing back at someone he didn't deem worthy. He thought Rison only kept his name in his mouth to boost his draft stock. Come game time, Sanders snatched round 2 as well. Behind another huge Florida State win, Deion again showed out with an impressive performance that included a clean interception on a pass intended for Rison, which Dre kind of threw his quarterback under the bus for. Despite the loss, Rison had his bright spots too. In the third quarter, he snagged a pass in traffic and cooked Deion with a nasty cut, bringing Deion to his knees before finding the end zone. They jawed at each other with every opportunity they had in the game, going as far as throwing hands, but the fierce competitiveness oddly brought them closer together. After the game, Deion admitted to being at each other's necks, but by the end of regulation, they were homies. Just two peas with massive egos in a pod. As the two hit the 1989 NFL draft together, both had promised to be franchise cornerstones, with the Falcons selecting Deion 5th overall and the Indianapolis Colts grabbing Rison with the 22nd pick. They both went on to have solid rookie campaigns, but the following season brought the unexpected. After one season with the Colts, Indy shipped Rison to Atlanta. Rison felt blindsided by the trade, but the thought of heading to the A to team up with Deion had him hyped. Dre and Deion found mutual respect in their performance on the field and formed a deeper friendship during their time as teammates in the 1988 Collegiate All-Star Game. Any smoke they had for each other in the past had dissipated, and Rison looked forward to the fact that opposing teams now had to deal with his lip on offense and Deion's on the other side of the ball. As teammates, they hit it off instantly with fierce battles in practice and bunked with each other in summer camp, where they considered themselves soulmates. Deion saw Dre as his hero. They were real deal besties. And when they weren't terrorizing opponents on the field, as promised by Rison, the duo sure ran their mouths. In a matchup against the Bears in their opening season, Dre and Deion found a common enemy in Chicago cornerback Lemuel Stinson. They hit Stinson with a barrage of shit talk in the media that I can only imagine the two had to have cooked up together. Despite having great seasons individually, Deion and Dre's first season together didn't amount to much team success. But the 1991 season was special for them and Atlanta. The dynamic duo's stardom continued to rise, making the Falcons one of the most exciting teams in the league. With Andre lighting up defenders with clean routes and Deion shutting down opposing teams' best wideouts, journalists believed catching the Falcons live just to listen to the two was worth the price of admission. Pro Bowl seasons from Dre and Deion helped catapult ATL to the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. For what was essentially a perennial losing franchise since the beginning, the Falcons finally had some sauce thanks to PrimeTime and ShowTime. They drew huge celebrities to their sideline, like rap sensation MC Hammer, who constantly hung around the team during the season thanks to his relationship with Deion. The squad rallied behind Hammer's single Too Legit to Quit, in which both Dre and Deion prominently appeared in the music video. Atlanta went on to lose in the divisional round of the playoffs that season, but with stunning playmakers on both sides of the ball, the future looked bright for the Falcons. Except, they weren't able to capture that same magic. Despite them both continuing to improve, the team stunk over the next few seasons, and a personal divide began to form between the besties. On the field, the two pushed one another, best described by their peers as extremely proud and competitive, but off it, they couldn't be more different. Despite the flashy persona, Deion was more of a homebody, while Rison stayed in the streets living the bachelor life. The two brash personalities that meshed together so well initially just couldn't coexist any longer when the team started to stink, and resentment kicked in. And as the Falcons entered the '94 season looking to right the ship, it didn't help that their two stars were huge distractions for varying reasons. For Rison, his lifestyle off the field almost saw his career engulfed in flames. Literally. Outside of football, Rison tried his hand in the music scene, where he met and eventually grew close to Lisa Left Eye Lopez, a member of the massively successful girl group TLC. In September 1993, Rison was charged with aggravated assault concerning an incident with Lopez. The following year, in June '94, Lopez set Rison's mansion in Georgia ablaze. Around this same time, the Falcons were dangerously close to losing their other star. With Prime set to hit free agency, Atlanta reportedly offered him a deal worth $1.7 million, but Deion wanted a number a little north of that and tested the waters. After spending his entire career in the A and 4 seasons with his boy Dre, Deion dipped and signed with division foe San Francisco 49ers for less bread. The money clearly wasn't an issue, and Deion ripped Atlanta on his way out the door as an org that showed no signs of being a real contender. The divorce turned into a public spectacle, with Deion going back and forth with his former teammates, but in the weeks leading up to and after the signing, Rison especially seemed sick of Deion. He thought other franchises gave Deion an unnecessary red carpet treatment while trying to decide his next landing spot, and referred to his old friend as that baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds. Dre had love for his boy when they were on the same squad, but when Deion flipped to the ops, he had to dub it. Prime caught strays from multiple dudes in Atlanta's locker room that felt extremely hurt by Rison's comments, especially considering he consoled Dre after the house fire. Deion truly seemed hurt by it all, but still slighted Rison in the process, speculating that his old running mate was acting out of jealousy or envy. With the two in the same division set to face off twice in the year, media members expected fireworks, and they delivered. Leading up to the Week 7 showdown that would have determined first place in the NFC West, the verbal jabs started in the press. Firstly, Rison wanted to clear the air about his red carpet comments, saying he was misquoted, but when asked if he was ready to smooth things over, he doubled down, saying the Falcons were a real team without Deion. and he stood on business, not afraid to run from his comments. For Deion, the matchup was personal. The attacks on his name gave him extra motivation to go that much harder. And if it was up to him, Deion preferred to have Rison all to himself.
I mean, if it was possible, I would love to everyone else to get off the field so we could just go at it one-on-one.
When word got back to Dre, he seemed confused as to why Deion felt so offended, but didn't back down from any smoke.
I never said anything derogatory towards Deion, and if he has a personal vendetta against me or a problem with me, the hell with him. Right. And if he want to go one-on-one, we can go one-on-one all day.
All eyes were locked in on the former friends turned enemies, and the two gave us a show. For most of the matchup, Deion lined up across Dre, and things got particularly spicy in the second quarter. On a dead ball play, Sanders jammed Rison off the line and got up in his helmet. The following play, everything looked copacetic between the two on a simple route with Deion shadowing Rison downfield. But just one play after that, things got active. On a delayed handoff, Dre cared little about what else was going on and fired off the ball, going right at Deion. Without hesitation, Deion threw a left hook, and the two must have forgotten they were wearing helmets because what followed was a barrage of punches and slaps to the head before flags flew, leaving the refs to separate the two. It was more than just talk, they were both about that action. They weren't tossed for the tussle and afterward got back the ball. Later that quarter, Deion got hit with a pass interference penalty on a deep ball where Rison had a slight step ahead of him that could have resulted in a touchdown. Although, a few plays later, Deion caught Falcons QB Jeff George lacking and jumped a route for a clean interception where he tiptoed down the sideline before high-stepping into the end zone. But as far as the Dre versus Deion showdown, things ended there as Deion left the game after that play with an injury. For two dudes known to talk their shit and with a fight breaking out mid-game, afterward, things were tame between the two. When the clock hit all zeros, Sanders made sure to find Rison at midfield and apologized. Deion said he had nothing but love for his old friend, and the fight was sparked when he jammed Rison off the line 2 plays earlier. Dre confirmed it was indeed Deion's aggressive nature that ignited him to get his lick back, but downplayed the fight, saying he didn't feel much because of all the gear. In the end, Rison spoke to that talk with Deion after the game and seemed ready to move on. Media members expected another drama-fueled matchup with the Falcons and Niners slated for a division rematch, but Dre and Deion put all the nonsense behind them. Deion said the two chopped it up the entire game, going deeper than football, and that's how feuds between great athletes should play out. Rison felt the same and said talking to Sanders during the game reminded him of the good old days when they were roomies. He had forgotten all about the other antics. And that's kinda where things left off. In the years that followed, Dre and Deion bounced around different squads, limiting their opportunities for beef. As they settled into their lives post-retirement, the two came together to set the record straight and officially ended any talks of animosity. When Deion left Atlanta, he knew he hurt someone he considered a brother, but he didn't know how to break the news to Dre that he was splitting. With their two massive egos, Dre and Deion felt like they had to snub each other to protect their feelings.
My boy was mad that I left.
Yeah, hurt.
That was my brother.
I was hurt.
And I didn't say nothing because I didn't know how to tell him I'm out. So he said some things and I was mad that my dog, because he knew what would hurt me. You know? And that's what caused the whole ruckus.
But after their infamous squabble, the two got it all out of their system and can go back to being boys for life.
But you know what?
Yeah.
What people don't realize, right after that, we got that out, we was cool.
Yeah, for life.
We was talking to each other during the game.
For life.
We was cool.
For life.
While their beef didn't have a long shelf life, when things popped off, it was piping hot. But the two could extinguish things just as fast as it started because they had that shared love for each other. From love to hate, back to love, we can all learn a valuable lesson from Dre and Deion. When beef presents itself in our lives and real love exists, never give up on the homies. Thanks for watching this episode of Beef History. I'm sure you notice those amazing names floating around in the background, and you too can get your name up on screen if you become a top secret agent. Subscribers to our Patreon get new stuff every Monday, like episodes of Pretty Good, our podcast, and loads of other stuff. You know you want in, but as always, we'll still be dropping heat right here on YouTube. So don't forget to like and subscribe and keep on coming back.